My name is Elena Brooks. I am 34 years old, and 3 months ago, my husband accused me of having an affair without saying the words out loud. He did it the way cowardly people do everything, indirectly, quietly, like smoke slipping under a locked door. The first sign was the questions. Not normal questions, timed questions. What time did you leave work? Who was at the hospital after your shift? Why didn't you answer your phone at 6:12? At first, I thought it was stress. Nathan had been tense for weeks. His construction company was bleeding money after a lawsuit involving faulty materials. He barely slept, barely ate. Sometimes I would wake up at 2 in the morning and find him sitting in the kitchen staring at nothing with a whiskey glass in his hand. I tried to help. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was underestimating his mother. Judith Brooks believed every marriage was a business arrangement disguised as love. She wore silk blouses like armor and spoke in perfectly sharpened sentences. The first time I met her, she hugged Nathan before she looked at me. That should have told me everything. Over the years, Judith developed a habit of questioning me in tiny, calculated ways. Never enough to sound openly hostile, always enough to leave fingerprints. You work very late for a physical therapist. Your patients text you often. Men probably become attached to women who take care of them. Little comments, little needles. Nathan never noticed them, or pretended not to. I still do not know which hurts more. Our daughter Sophie was 6 years old when things started unraveling. She had Nathan's eyes and my stubbornness. Every night, she climbed into my lap while I checked emails and asked impossible questions like, if astronauts cry in space, do the tears float? Children make the world softer. People like Judith hate softness. One Friday evening, I came home after a double shift at the rehab center. The house smelled faintly like fresh paint. Nathan said he had repaired a crack near the hallway smoke detector. I nodded and kept unpacking groceries. I did not notice the camera. Not then. The next 2 weeks felt strange in ways I could not explain. Nathan became overly calm. Too calm. The kind of calm people wear when they believe they already know something you do not. Judith suddenly started inviting herself over again. Always when Nathan was home. Always watching me carefully. One night during dinner, she asked, "Do many doctors flirt with the therapists at your clinic?" Nathan looked down at his plate. That was the moment my stomach tightened. Because innocent men look confused. Guilty men look prepared. 3 days later, Sophie got sick at school. Fever, vomiting. The nurse called while I was treating a patient recovering from a spinal fracture. I left work immediately. When I got home, Sophie was asleep on the couch under a blanket. Nathan sat beside her, watching me, not speaking. Then he asked, "Where were you before the school called?" I blinked. "At work." "You sure?" Something inside me went cold. Not angry, not scared. Cold. The kind of cold that comes before survival mode. That night, after Nathan fell asleep, I walked through the house slowly. Kitchen, living room, hallway, and then I saw it. The smoke detector in the hallway looked newer than the others. I stood on a chair and touched it. Warm. My hands started shaking before my brain caught up. I opened the cover. Tiny blinking light. Camera. For a full minute, I could not breathe properly. Not because of the camera, because of what it meant. My husband was not trying to fix our marriage. He was building a case. The next morning, I called my friend Ava, who worked in cybersecurity for a law firm in Boston. I sent her pictures. 10 minutes later, she called back. "Elena, that's not just a camera." "What do you mean?" "It records audio, too." I sat down slowly. In the background, I could hear office keyboards clicking through the phone. "That setup streams remotely," Ava continued. "Nathan can watch live from his phone." I looked toward Sophie's bedroom. My daughter had been recorded inside her own home, without my knowledge, without consent. Something shifted inside me then, because betrayal is one thing, but involving your child changes the temperature of the crime. I did not confront Nathan, not yet. Instead, I started paying attention, real attention. And once I did, the cracks appeared everywhere. Nathan taking his phone into another room whenever it buzzed. Judith whispering with him in the backyard during family barbecues. His sudden obsession with checking our bank statements. Then came the real mistake, the mistake that destroyed them. One Tuesday afternoon, Nathan left his laptop open on the kitchen counter while showering upstairs. An email notification appeared from a private investigator. Subject line, additional footage review. My pulse slowed instantly. People think panic makes your heart race. Real danger does the opposite. It sharpens you. I clicked the email. Attached were screenshots from hidden cameras inside my own house. Kitchen, living room, garage entrance, timestamps, notes. At the bottom was a message. Still no evidence of infidelity. Subject behavior appears consistent and routine. I stared at the screen. Then another attachment caught my eye. Financial records. Mine. Nathan had hired someone to investigate me completely. Work schedule, phone activity, locations. I heard the shower upstairs turn off. I closed the laptop carefully and walked outside before he came down. I sat in my car gripping the steering wheel so hard my fingers hurt. Then I did the smartest thing I have ever done. I hired my own investigator. His name was Marcus Reed. Former federal investigator. Quiet voice. Sharp eyes. The kind of man who notices exits before introductions. I gave him everything. The cameras, the emails, the screenshots. He listened without interrupting. Then he asked one question. Do you want the truth or leverage? I answered immediately. Both. Marcus smiled slightly. Good. Over the next 11 days, my entire marriage cracked open. Nathan was not investigating me because he believed I was cheating. He was preparing for divorce. A very specific kind of divorce. One where I would leave with nothing. Judith had convinced him I married him for money years ago. And now that his business was collapsing, they wanted to protect family assets before bankruptcy hit. But the deeper Marcus dug, the uglier things became. Nathan had secretly transferred money into accounts under Judith's name. Large amounts, over time. Enough to qualify as financial concealment during legal proceedings. Then Marcus uncovered something even worse. The failing construction materials lawsuit? Nathan actually knew the materials were defective months before they were used. People could have died. One already had. I remember sitting in Marcus's office while rain hit the windows. He slid a folder across the desk. Inside were emails, invoices, signed approvals, proof. Nathan was not paranoid. He was desperate. And desperate people rarely stop at one crime. Sunday dinner happened 2 weeks later. Judith organized it. Of course she did. Dining room polished, candles lit, Nathan pale and silent beside me, Judith smiling too much. I knew the hidden cameras were still active. Good. Let them record. Halfway through dessert, Judith folded her napkin carefully and looked at Nathan. There are some things a husband deserves to know. There it was, the performance. Nathan cleared his throat. Elena, I know you've been lying. I looked at him calmly. About what? Judith leaned forward. We know about the investigation. For 1 second, silence swallowed the room. Then Nathan pushed a folder across the table. Photos. Me hugging a male coworker outside the rehab center after his father died. Me having coffee with Marcus. Blurry images designed to look dirty. Judith spoke softly. You should tell the truth now, before this gets uglier. I looked around the table slowly. At Judith, at Nathan, at Sophie coloring quietly at the end of the table, too young to understand her family was detonating around her. Then I opened my purse and placed my own folder beside theirs. I agree, I said calmly. Let's tell the truth. Nathan frowned. Judith's smile twitched slightly. I slid the first document toward Nathan. Bank transfers. The color drained from his face instantly. The second, lawsuit evidence, defective materials approvals. The third, photos of hidden cameras inside our house, including Sophie's bedroom doorway. Judith stopped breathing normally. I saw it happen. Tiny, sharp breaths. Predator realizing the trap closed backward. You illegally recorded a minor, I said quietly. You hid marital assets. I looked at Nathan. And you covered up corporate negligence connected to a wrongful death case. Nobody moved. Nobody even touched their forks. Then Warren, Nathan's father, spoke for the first time all night. What the hell did you do? Nathan looked at Judith. Judith looked at Nathan. And suddenly I understood their entire family dynamic in one perfect, horrifying second. Neither of them had ever expected consequences. That was the real addiction. Not money, not control, impunity. Sophie looked up from her coloring page. Mommy? I stood and walked to her, picked her up gently. It's okay, baby. Then I looked back at the table. At this point, I said softly, the lawyers can explain the rest. And I walked out while 3 generations of the Brooks family collapsed behind me.